It's your boy Chad Rob. Hey, welcome back to the #iAMWHOiAM podcast. This is episode 44. Hey, so I'm here with a candidate, man. State House, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are here in Knoxville, Tennessee, and he is running for District 15. I came out today because he has some really good views and points on a problem that is really, I don't want to say popular right now, but it's really intense right now, and there's been a lot of things going on with it. So I definitely wanted to get out here and talk to him about it, and talk to him about how he plans to kind of combat it and make it, easier on just the human race. But yeah, introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Matthew Park. I'm running for the State House here out of District 15, like you said. That District 15 covers everything from Holston Hills to Fort Sanders, including UT's campus, all of South Knoxville in the city, and downtown and the old city and a bunch of stuff. So the urban core of Knoxville.
Nice,
right?
nice. And I didn't even mention we're in Knoxville, Tennessee, or maybe I did. But so we'll jump right into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Where you from?
Yeah, so I grew up in a place called Benton, Tennessee.
Bent like the ham?
No.
That's not Benton? Oh,
but I mean, Benton like the ham, yeah. But it's so that's a family name, but this is actual Benton.
Okay.
So it's Polk County. If anybody's ever been to the Ocoee River, there's a lot of rafting that people go down there to do. So definitely doing a lot of that. Came up 2007, been here ever since, and have lived in the district the whole time. The important thing I think to know about me is that my little brother, I've seen one little brother be a victim of the school to prison pipeline, right? Arrested in high school. So for the past 13, 14 years, I've gotten to see what it's like to have a sibling or a family member incarcerated and go through that, get out, get back in, go through technical parole violations, probation violations, and then that same little brother, I saw him injured in a vehicle accident, but we're out in rural Tennessee at the time, so I saw what it's like to be far away from a hospital, and that's actually why I became an EMT and worked for Rural Metro here and in Blount County for a while. And then my baby brother has a lot of mental health issues going on, so that's why a lot of times when I talk about criminal justice reform and prison abolition and things, I do it from a place of mental health, a place of healthcare, looking at it from that perspective, right? So that's what's really important to me. I started running because Tennessee over and over and over again, we're always at the top of every bad list and the bottom of every good list.
Right.
And I think it's time for that to end. Like we have a beautiful state.
Yeah.
We have amazing people here. Like we have such a diverse landscape, a diverse population. It's time that we take our place as like a gold standard for how a state should be run, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's why I'm running.
Okay.
So focusing heavily, like the cornerstone of our platform has been prison abolition. And I can tell you what that means, because that's a scary term to some people, right?
Yeah.
Prison abolition, healthcare, looking at a Tennessee Green New Deal, and of course funding education, because that's one of the most important things.
Okay, cool. Well, let's back up a little bit, and so you got your 3 siblings. You're one of 3.
I have 2. I'm one of 3.
One of 3. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you said one suffers with mental health, and then one got incarcerated early.
Yeah.
So how far spread out apart are y'all?
So I'm between me and my little brother. There's 3 years, and then between him and my baby brother, there's 10 months. So
they grew up together.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So you're the older brother.
Yeah.
Okay. I got you. So talk to me about that, because I know that had to be rough, because I would assume you were going to college when all this happened. So talk to me about how you were able to push through and get what you wanted to get done in college done with all that going back at home.
Yeah, it's definitely hard, right? When you my little brothers actually one at a time, they've each lived with me.
Okay.
On and off, right?
Yeah.
So it's something that's always hard when you've got something going on. We've all had aunts and uncles and cousins and brothers and sisters and parents and grandparents go through this system, whether it be a health issue that's not getting taken care of, whether it's an incarceration issue, whether it's a substance use issue, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like we've all gone through this,
yeah.
right?
No doubt.
And I think for something that everybody's had experience with, it's ridiculous that we haven't done something about it, right?
That's crazy. That's crazy, man. So if you don't mind me asking, what happened? Like, what happened with that when he got incarcerated?
Yeah, he had a joint at high school. And zero tolerance policy, man.
Man, that's the dumbest thing. So when I was in high school, man, I partaked in the weed, and I make a long story short, I guess we smoked some weed with some other students, and they told on us. And so they searched my car. Of course, I didn't have any in my car, but they found a seed, and they sat the seed on top of the car. I'll never forget it. And that cost me to have to go to alternative school for 6 months in order to stay in school and all that good stuff. So it's just crazy to me that type of, I mean, I get it, I'm under 18, I guess. I shouldn't be smoking, but to try to ruin someone's life over marijuana, especially in 2020 or even 1999, it just seems ridiculous to me. So that's
why two big things coming out of that. First, we have to legalize cannabis. And not just for medical, it's got to be recreational. We're spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year in this state, arresting people and incarcerating people and destroying families. With something that is legal, 2-hour drive from downtown Nashville, right?
Ain't that the truth?
Like and it's going to continue to be legalized. We're either going to spend the next 5 to 7 years spending hundreds of millions of dollars on destroying families and incarcerating people, again, for something that's legal like 1 or 2 states over, right?
Wow.
So we have to do that. And then the second thing is we have to stop this punitive, like, get even attitude where the state or the school system or whoever is in charge feels like they need to get even with you, and we need to move towards treatment and transformation. I don't call it restoration because we may not need to restore anything, right? We may need to transform. And that's what criminal justice should be about. Yeah,
so that is real, because it felt personal in high school when I got in my little trouble. It felt personal. It felt like they were trying to make a point, make me a what do they call it when you make somebody an example?
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like. So it's funny to hear you say that, man, because it seems like, especially in the state of Tennessee, that's what most traffic stops are. That let's try to make an example out of you so that we can put you in the paper, or we may hit this big bust for something, and like you said, man, cannabis I feel like it's safer than alcohol, me personally. But yeah, so talk to me. You said you go to UT, and so then what happens?
So I was working as a skydiving instructor.
What? Hold on, slow down. You can't just skip past that.
I can't just skip past that.
You can't just skip past that. Skydiving.
So one thing led to another, right? And I ended up working as a skydiving instructor. That's a long story about how I got there, though. But I was working up in Sevier County, doing skydiving, teaching skydiving, packing parachutes, making $10 a parachute.
So you're packing the parachutes?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh wow. So
when
you're to blame if I hit flat first.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you start out skydiving and you want to work in skydiving, one of the first things you get to do is you get to pack the tandem parachutes, which are huge, and dealing with all that fabric. So you make like $10 to $13 a parachute, and it takes you like maybe 45 minutes. It takes me 45 minutes because I like to talk to people and I get distracted. But, some of the bigger drop zones, these people that pack parachutes all day, they'll pack hundreds of parachutes and they'll pack them in like 7 or 10 minutes. Like, throw that stuff together. I like 45.
Take your time with my parachute.
But yeah, so I was doing that, and actually my roommate, who's my roommate now, he was talking to a buddy of ours and said, hey, I know you own a computer company, you got any jobs? Because I need a job. And so
what did you, so you're a computer engineer, or you?
Yeah, so I'm a cloud architect. So,
okay.
Yeah, so what that basically means is like, the cloud. Right?
Yeah, like the iCloud.
Yeah, like the iCloud. So I work mainly with the Microsoft Azure cloud and design applications that use the cloud and do stuff.
Nice.
So
okay.
my buddy asked for this job. guy says, yeah, I actually do have jobs. Explained what it was. My buddy goes, I don't want that. And I said, actually, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
So this was 2009, and I started working for him. Got it day one. That's when the cloud was coming out, right?
Yeah,
and he's day one, he's like, hey, we need you to figure out what this cloud's all about and see what it is.
Wow, and that's some heavy lifting.
Yeah. So then a couple years later, I found myself all of a sudden being one of the cloud experts that was going to conferences and talking about stuff.
Oh, nice.
So I've been working mainly in healthcare technology.
Okay.
So when you go to the doctor and they say, it's not covered, you got to pay your $100 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So a lot of times they do that wrongly. It's a false denial.
Oh, wow.
And then you can go, appeal that. But that whole adjudication process, that whole appeals process, usually costs the insurance company about $2,000. So if you lay that out across the entire healthcare of the whole country, we overspend by about $500 billion a year in just these false denials. So I've been pushing on this technology to essentially just say, you know what, Chad owes us $100, but he's gonna cost us a couple thousand arguing about it.
Yeah.
Let's just call it even and not worry about it, right? But do that with technology so that we can make healthcare cheaper and also make people's lives better so they don't have to fight with insurance companies or TennCare or whoever it is.
Gotcha.
So that's actually how I really got into politics back in 2018.
Okay.
There's a new TennCare system that covers all the kids in the state.
Oh, nice.
And adults, but it's our Medicaid system essentially.
Okay.
They put in a new system, a new computer system, and it was nobody called BS when it needed to be called BS, right?
Gotcha.
And that led to 220,000 children losing their health care.
Wow.
Accidentally. And so they had to go through all this paperwork to get it back. So that was the big thing that clicked for me, hey, I need to really get involved in this stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. So that's crazy. So healthcare is what brought you to politics. So that's nice. So how long have you been campaigning or working on, you know, or when did you put your name in the hat, I guess?
So I guess we announced in October of last year.
Okay.
So we've been going at it almost a year. And we did that because we knew that there were the state house is not something that people talk about a lot.
No, I to be honest with you, man, I've never heard of it until I met you.
So it's not something people talk about, and we knew that even if we didn't win, there were issues, healthcare, criminal justice, a Green New Deal that we knew we need to go out and talk about and get people talking about, and that was going to take time. Organizing takes time.
Right.
And getting a movement started takes time. So this is more about we definitely trying to win. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Got to play to win. Huh?
But even if we don't win, we've got this thought in our head that we have pushed the conversation where people are now using terms like prison abolition, just throwing it around.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And people, I get to spend a lot of time talking about what that is and how it's not a scary thing.
Well, so talk to me about it. What is prison abolition?
Yeah. So prison abolition essentially means that right now.
Hold on one second. It seems like every car, we're outside, so please don't mind the lawnmower and all the commotion. It sounds pretty good in my headphones, but I don't know how it's going to sound when we edit it, but I just didn't want that car to be riding by while the lawnmower was going. He ain't even cutting grass, he cutting concrete. But go ahead.
So one of the big things is right now we're locking people up in cages, right?
Yeah.
And you got to think about why we're doing that. Maybe they had cannabis. Maybe they had a child support payment due.
Wow.
And there's all these reasons that we're locking people up, and just the act of locking them up really destroys their life, right?
Yeah.
It takes humanity away from you to be locked in a cage. So the idea that we're pursuing is this idea that you shouldn't be sentenced to a time-based sentence because it's always arbitrary.
Right.
You can't tell me that there is a time for the crime, that it doesn't exist.
Oh.
So, because if I steal a candy bar, what is the appropriate time for me to serve?
0 days, in my opinion.
Yeah, but But we have a system right now that tries to assign time and assign blame to people when we really need that system of treatment and transformation, because those time-based sentences are arbitrary and quite often racist. Like mandatory minimums. I mean, mandatory minimums, so they used to be higher for crack cocaine than powder cocaine.
Yeah, I do remember that. That was a big 90s thing.
Because more black people used crack cocaine and more white people used powdered cocaine. So they take this and they essentially say, okay, let's be racist. And whether that's implicit or explicit bias, we can argue about, but it's racist nonetheless.
Yeah, no doubt.
So you get these time-based sentences, and they're always arbitrary. They always hurt people. What we need to be sentencing people to is a corrections plan, a treatment and transformation plan developed by a mental health counselor, substance use counselor, education professional.
Yeah.
And get this. Now, this is like the crazy part. What if we gave people goals?
A goal? That sounds way better than 20 years.
What if we said, Chad, you know what? You've stolen that candy bar.
Yeah,
you were with Matt, and we saw both of you carry a Mars bar.
They got us.
Yeah. So we decide that you need to be incarcerated. You don't need to be out on the public street stealing candy bars. Can't have that.
Right.
Fine. I'm not saying we can't have people incarcerated, but the place we incarcerate them doesn't need to be a cage. If you look at Halden Prison in Norway, it's essentially a lot of their things are like small little studio apartments. That's where you're removed from the public for sure.
Yeah.
But you're given a place where you still feel like a human being, and in that place you can work on these goals that you've been sentenced to.
Kind of like a quarantine, almost.
Right. And if you get your goals done faster, you get to re-enter the public. And when you re-enter the public, we want 100% community supervised re-entry. So what that means is no more just open the door and being like, all right, guys, don't steal any candy bars. But open the door and saying, okay, here's community members that are volunteering or being paid to help you reintegrate into society. I heard a story about a guy that was released not too long ago, and he went to McDonald's, and he actually almost got into an altercation at McDonald's because he ordered a drink, right? And they handed him an empty cup, and he demanded they put something in the cup because when he went to jail, they filled it from the behind the counter.
Wow.
And he didn't realize that he had to walk around the thing, right? And it was
institutionalized.
Yeah. It takes humanity away from you. You know, we've been working since the pandemic began. We've been serving coffee and donuts to the homeless on Broadway every Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And we made the decision early on that people would come up and say, oh, I'll take my coffee however you're making it.
Yeah.
But no, how do you take your coffee?
Yeah.
Like, let's add some humanity back to the situation. And then when they would say, can I get 2 cups for my brother, sister's wife, or whoever's waiting on me?
Yeah.
A lot of people that hand stuff out say, oh, no, we need to make sure we get to... But our thing was, let's give some trust back and say, of course, we trust you that this person's waiting somewhere. And here's the thing. Like, let's just be radically human with other people.
Right.
And can you imagine what kind of world that would be? And that's what we're trying to do with prison reform, prison abolition, criminal justice reform, police reform, trying to be radically human about the whole thing.
I know that's going to be a tough hill to climb because the more I just started really messing with social media since I started podcasting. And one thing I'm learning with social media is you're getting people's true feelings about how they feel instead of the whole, day-to-day life. If I see you in a day-to-day life, I can put on a persona or whatever want to call it, and you may not know who I really am. But what I'm noticing, people feel, I guess they call them keyboard warriors or keyboard gangster, whatever you call it. So how are you going to get people on board with something like that when a lot of people, if it doesn't affect them directly, they don't care at all. Now, this last situation with the cop choking them for 9 minutes, I feel empathy from, I'm going to say 98% of Americans. And even worldwide, I'm going to say 98%, maybe even 99%. This is the most empathy I've ever seen for when it's race-baited crime. So talk to me a little bit about how you would even propose or even get something like that in action? Because I know that's going to be tough.
See, I think the prison abolition, criminal justice reform, police reform is actually one of the easiest things for us to pass. Now, if you want to tell me that a Green New Deal is going to be tough, sure, that's going to be tough.
Okay.
But I think that this is one of the easiest things. Even our Republican governor, our Republican legislature, they've already been looking at criminal justice reform. But they've had no one there to talk to them about prison abolition, right?
Okay.
They're trying to say criminal justice reform. They want to reduce recidivism, reduce people coming back. But they've had nobody sit there and say, let's talk about a restorative model.
Gotcha.
Let's talk about, I mean, they have had a few people, but they haven't had a peer in the legislature to say words like prison abolition.
Yeah.
Because when we assign a phrase or a word to something, we've created power there. And getting people to repeat that, that's why saying I can't breathe, Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
There's power in those words and phrases we use.
Yeah.
So I think that we have a tremendous opportunity because COVID-19 has essentially broken down so many structures that we thought that we absolutely needed. And I think that that's what's enabling this movement to really kick into high gear after the tragic murder of George Floyd.
That was bad.
The whole country, has one, become polarized in how we feel about it, but two, it's given people the opportunity to say, what does it really look like? And I've said this term 22nd century policing.
Yeah.
Because I really want people to think about because I don't think we spend enough time imagining the future. Like in the 50s, they imagined the future all the time.
Yeah.
But today, it's like, I don't know if we're going to have a future. Like the
looking
world
dark.
seems bleak.
Yeah, it does.
But I think if we imagine, like, what would 22nd century, in 80 years, what do I imagine the police force looks like? Do we have a police force?
Wow.
When I call 911, and this is one of our big points. If I call 911 because somebody's having a mental health crisis, right, in front of my house maybe, I don't think that the police should respond to that. I think a mobile unit of mental health professionals, substance use professionals, should show up, be able to de-escalate the situation, help that person get treatment, help that person get transformation, and there are no guns or badges or police forces or use of force involved. What would that look like?
Yeah, what would that cost?
Well, I think it would cost less.
Oh, talk to me about that then.
Because you think about, we spend $60 some odd million a year in Knoxville on the police department.
Knoxville?
Just for the city of Knoxville.
Wow.
Not including the sheriff's department.
Oh, wow.
So when you look at that, there's militarized components. The police force has a tank that was given to them one way or another, but they have these different components, which maybe they need that, probably not. But they have these different components, and it's unfair to police what we've done to them because we've essentially used them as a Swiss Army knife of government. Yeah. And anytime we didn't pay for things like mental health, mobile mental health counselors, mobile substance use counselors, anytime we didn't pay for that kind of stuff, we just said, man, the police will handle it. So that now what we have is the police have become the primary providers of mental health in this state. And by pulling that back and putting that where it needs to go, because I don't think that's fair for the mental health of police to be used as this one-size-fits-all Swiss Army knife.
No way.
It's not good for police officers. It's not good for government. It's not good for community members. So by putting people that their expertise is in a certain area, by having them respond to calls for these certain pieces, that's what's going to reduce the cost of this whole system. Because mass incarceration is expensive. Just on the state level, we spend $1 billion a year incarcerating people in state prisons. It's expensive.
Okay, so my question to that is, aren't the prisoners? Hold on 1 second. You weren't joking about those planes.
No. Yeah.
So don't the prisoners make money for the states or cities they're in when they're incarcerated?
Actually, the prisoners are making money for private companies a lot of the time now.
Gotcha.
So CoreCivic is one of the largest private prison companies in the country, and they're actually based in Nashville. So Nashville's jail, our jail's run by the sheriff's office, but Nashville's jail is a private prison. So if you're incarcerated in Nashville, you're going to be incarcerated in a core civic facility, and someone is going to profit off of your incarceration.
Wow.
And governments are profiting off that because the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, right, made slavery illegal. But then there's a comma and the word except.
So what's it say after except?
It essentially says except when incarcerated. So slavery is actually legal if you are incarcerated. That's why prisoners don't make a minimum wage. That's why prisoners can make 15, 20 cents an hour.
So, yeah.
Because they're treated as slaves.
Wow.
And the Constitution explicitly allows it.
What? And see, that's the thing. I feel kind of. I mean, I get it. You're incarcerated, so you are a ward of the state. So you are someone's property, essentially. So I get it. I don't feel like that's necessarily a bad thing. That may sound terrible. But not for stealing a pack of gum or, now murders.
Here's how I look at it.
Terror, yeah.
What is the point of prison? The point of prison is it's the
Rehabilitation,
Department
right?
of Corrections,
Yeah.
right? And it's been shown over and over again, forced labor, putting you in a cage, putting you in solitary, causing these mental health issues, does nothing for you. That doesn't help you turn around at all, ever.
Ever.
It never works. There are people that come out and go, that sucked. I don't ever want to do that. I want to change my life. But they made the decision to change their life themselves.
Had nothing to do with it.
The prison system did not help them.
Gotcha.
So when you're looking at that, if you start taking people's humanity and profiting off of it, then that harms us as a society. That takes something away from you. That we have community members incarcerated, being treated as slaves.
Yeah.
That takes something away from us just sitting here on this porch.
Right.
It takes a piece of our humanity
That's
away
true.
too.
Yeah, I agree. Not to mention when they come home, I've had a couple friends do quite a bit of time, and they come home and I can't even really hang out with them because they're so, like a beast, like a what they call a lion out of a cage. Just ready just to do everything, and it's like, surely there was a better solution. So I love what you're thinking, like, kind of put them away, give them goals, let them learn something, let them grow without feeling like animals. That's really cool, man. That's really cool. But I didn't mean to stop you after police. What you say? Police
Prison abolition.
Prison abolition.
Yeah.
Everybody said prison abolition. I got to remember that one because that's dope.
So what I want people to think of is that prisons are places for caging people and treating them as slaves.
Okay.
So let's remember how I said words had power.
Yep.
Right. So that's why I call it prison abolition. It's something that makes people nervous.
Yeah, that word is kind of.
It has power, and it should.
Yeah.
It should make you nervous. The fact that we're incarcerating a higher percentage of our population than China.
China has more people, right?
Oh yeah.
It's by quite a bit.
So, I think that what we want to switch to is, what if you were incarcerated in a center for treatment or a center for transformation, where you got to learn, where you got counseling for substance use, where you got counseling for your mental health issue, whatever it is.
Almost like college.
Yeah. What would it look like to have people that were there working on goals, talking about how do we be better, that kind of language, instead of treating people like they were, quite frankly, animals and putting them in cages.
So I guess my question to that, another question I have would be, isn't that by design though? Don't they want to kind of separate the people? Isn't that kind of what it is? Because if you put them in there and you cage them up, you're going to have a 85-90% return rate on the incarceration. So they do 10 years, get out 5, they'll be back another 10. You see what I'm saying? So Isn't that by design?
It is, because the system of mass incarceration, essentially we can mark it start after the Civil War.
Okay.
because the system was designed to, okay, well, we made it where slavery was no longer legal. Now we have to put something else in place. And that's why there was that word accept in the 13th Amendment. Is because they knew what they were doing. They knew what the plan was.
Yeah, it was to lock the black people up so that they still be slaves. Wow, man, that's deep.
It was an out. We had good discussion here last night about what is the route that white people take to be anti-racist. And we got to the bottom, and then I said, okay, now we need to put a return in this graph to the very top. And somebody said, what does that mean? I said that could be anything from a black man cut me off in traffic, and that can destroy a year of being a woke white person, of returning you back to the origins. So when now you take that everyday interaction and that everyday trying to, get somebody to be anti-racist, you apply it to a group of people that are in government post-Civil War, right towards the end. Those people were okay being abolitionists for sure, but they wanted an out, and the out they gave themselves was that accept word. And legalizing slavery when incarceration was there, when they could incarcerate people. That's why we have a much higher percentage of black people in our jails and prisons in Tennessee, is because mass incarceration is a relic of slavery post-Civil War, and it's costly because they had to put in place these vast police forces in order to funnel people into these prisons, right? The plan has been executed flawlessly.
It has, man.
So we can't continue with a system that was designed for racism and slavery. We can't just reform it. Yeah. That's why we say prison abolition. We know that there needs to be something better, but we don't want to turn this system into something better. We want to tear this system down, set it on fire,
and start
figuratively set it on fire.
Figuratively.
And just want to throw that out there.
No, you're right. Figuratively.
Burn it down and then build something else, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's why we say that, and we talk a lot about what it would look like, but we need to talk a lot more, and I think we are lately, about why this system exists, right?
Yeah, and it, I appreciate you breaking it down for me and the audience, because I know a lot of times, people think everybody's free, but I was just watching a movie they had let me watch for free on Apple TV with Michael Jordan. I can't think of the name, or he's a lawyer. Did you watch that one? Can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. But anyway, he's a black lawyer in the early 90s, and that killed me, because I didn't really feel racism like that in the early 90s, in my opinion. I mean, I know it was probably racism, but as a young boy, I don't remember that deep of racism. But anyway, he's in Alabama, and a guy gets locked up because they needed a conviction for a rape. So, they needed a conviction, they found a person, and they gave him they put him on death row. So Michael B. Jordan's character comes in as the lawyer and, fights the case and gets all the things, make a long story short.
Just mercy.
Just mercy.
It took
That's
me a
it.
second.
Yeah, just mercy. And so that was happening in the 90s, man. That's the late 80s, early 90s.
So I got to, the guy that wrote that book and that runs the Equal Justice Initiative, I got to see him in Vegas last year.
Yeah.
So I was at a Microsoft conference of all things, and they brought the speaker out. The speaker was Brian Stevenson, the writer and who that story is based on. So
okay.
I guess you could call it an autobiography, maybe.
Yeah.
But he still runs the Equal Justice Initiative.
Yeah.
And if you've never been down there,
no, I haven't.
You should go take the podcast down there. So they have these essentially blocks of stone for every county that had death by lynching.
Wow.
And so, actually, this is a good time to make a challenge to our. Now that we brought this up, we need to make a challenge to our mayors, Mayor Kincannon, Mayor Jacobs. Knox County has one of these stones.
Really?
We had people killed in Knox County.
Well, yeah.
We need to go get that, and we need to put it in a central place in the city. We need to put this monument out so people know that this happened here, you know. But yeah, I cut you off there.
No, you didn't cut me off at all. I just was trying to get the point across that, like, a lot of people think slavery, like me even, I think slavery is like old. Racism is old, and every blue moon I'll catch a hint of it, you know. And it's never like blatant, like I hate black people. It's more so whatever the case may be. But when I was talking to Constance, actually, I've seen where black people hate white people. So I've seen it on both ends, you know. And it sucks that with all the information we have, all the years and years of documentation, we've seen this done, we've seen that done, we've done this, we've done that. And to get to a point now to where it hits the fan like it has, man, it's so disturbing, because I have interracial children, and it's scary because, you know, as they come up, you would think by now they wouldn't even have to deal with that sort of thing. But now looking at this, I'm like, man, now I feel like you're creating battles. Now you're creating a race war. That's all this really feels like to me, with the social media and the talking. It feels everybody's on edge. Like, I can't really say nothing to you because you're white. You may take it the wrong way, or you may be like, man, I better not say nothing to him. He's black. He may take it. Just seems like we're starting all over, man. Almost like by design. Like it was.
So, and I think about that a lot, but I think about it in a. I was reading some stuff the other day. You know, Aristotle was a racist. To take it back old school, you said racism was old.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me.
Aristotle, you know, he did a lot of writing about how there are Greeks and non-Greeks, and Greeks were made to rule, and everyone else wasn't. So, you know, he's talking about this like ethnocentristic view of the world, but that kind of structural hate is what enables everything else. So I say a lot that racism is the operating system for all other discrimination. You know, I think about like, you know, I'm a gay guy, a member of the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
And the things that enable anti-LGBTQ discrimination come from racism, right? Cops learn to bust up gay bars, not by busting up gay bars, but by busting up black businesses, right?
Yeah,
they learned it by tearing down Black Wall Street in Tulsa. Wow. That's where these things are learned. So if we, like, that's the challenge I give to especially the white LGBTQ community is, if you want to end this discrimination, we gotta get on the same page, and we have to end racial discrimination first, because that's where it's learned. That's the first thing that creates this you and me and them and us. Right. And when you say them and us, and then you say them are less than us,
well, you're automatically creating division once you say them and us. It should be us, Americans.
And so that's what I'm super hopeful about, is like, with everything going on with Black Lives Matter right now, I think that is not only, because we're not just shooting for equality, right? Because equality is not good enough.
Right.
We're shooting for equity. We're shooting for, you know, that's why as politicians, the community's demanding every politician have a black agenda. Yeah, so we released a black agenda, and people ask, like, why you feel like you need to do that? Just do good for everybody. I'm like, no, it's too late for that. Knoxville has a 42% black poverty rate.
42%?
42% of black people in Knoxville are in poverty. Wow. And you can't tell me that we need to go do policies that work for everybody. We need to have...
Just because I don't know if they could hear you, you said 42%?
42% poverty rate in the black community in Knoxville.
Oh, man, that's high. Mm-hmm. But yeah, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, you're good. So when you see that, it's like, it's time for some alternate policy, some very specific policy that's not, you know, I saw one of our community members post something on Facebook the other day, and she was essentially saying, why do people with power keep coming into the community and say, what do you need to fix poverty? and her point was, you can't ask someone in poverty how to fix poverty.
Yeah.
You can get their perspective.
Right.
You can, and you should have them involved in every conversation, but you can't rely on them and demand of them the fix for poverty.
Right, yeah, no.
we didn't. So that just really struck me, and it really set with me after I read that she posted that. And that's kind of the thing now. The community needs to get together and say, we're going to deliver these things. We're going to deliver no interest loans. We're going to deliver capital grants. We have a plan to start at least 1,000 black businesses in Tennessee in the next 5 years.
Wow.
That's the kind of stuff we need to do.
So is that taxpayers' money, or how is that kind of stuff funded, though?
Yeah, it absolutely. So it is taxpayers' money.
Okay,
and
okay.
Guess what? We can afford it.
Oh, well, yeah.
And the thing is, when we create business like that, especially when we pull 42% of people, black people in Knoxville, out of poverty, when we give these very specific policies, we just give this capital to help start businesses. We do a lot of this stuff. That's good for everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
It raises the gross domestic product of Tennessee as a whole. It helps everyone, and but it's very targeted to get these specific people out of the situation that the system has put them in.
Gotcha. Yeah, man, that makes a lot of sense, because you definitely don't. That's like me trying to build a house, never built a house before, and going down to Kroger's and that's, hey, the person running me at the register, can you help me build this house?
Yeah.
You know, like they don't know, they work registered. You know, I need to go talk to somebody that's built a house before. So I need to talk to somebody that's out of poverty that could come help the people that are in poverty. So that's dope, man.
Yeah.
That's dope. Wow, man. So you running? Are you on the ballot in October?
August.
Yeah. August. Are
It's
you running as Democrat, Republican?
Democrat, yeah.
Democrat.
So,
Okay.
So there are no Republicans on the ballot.
No Republicans on the ballot.
It's a Democrat race.
Okay.
So it's a primary. The election's on August 6th.
August 6th. Okay.
It's actually my birthday too.
That's your birthday, man.
Yeah,
Oh, that's what's August 15th. I'm August 15th.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So early voting starts July 17th.
Okay.
Runs until August 1st. And it looks like everyone will be able to vote by mail if they want.
Okay.
But we'll see how that court case turns out. They said it was allowed, but then these things always get appealed.
Yeah.
I'm like, we'll see what happens next week.
Yeah.
But it looks like that might be a good possibility. Right now, if people are over 60, they're automatically allowed to have a mail-in ballot. They just got to call the county election commission where they're at. But yeah, August 6th is the election day.
That's what's up.
And so then our plan, after we win the election.
Yeah, no doubt. So how many are in it? How many?
There are 3 to 4.
3 to 4 for District 15.
For District 15.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, when we look at what we do afterwards, so say we win.
Yeah. Or when we win, yeah.
Yeah, when we win. There's only an independent in the race. So there's no Republican challenger. So we still have to campaign for sure.
Yeah.
But we want to be out there seeing what we can do to help advance things like the Black Agenda, prison abolition, and other stuff in other races that cover this district. So
Gotcha.
there's a state senate race going on. There's a congressional race that I think we'll be able to flip the congressional seat this year. So there's a lot of there's a state senate or there's a U.S. Senate race going on. So there's a lot of there's definitely a lot of stuff that we can work on, but we're going to still stay in the community, still work with people.
Well, one more thing I want you to hit on, because I know you be busy man. Talk to me about those voting numbers, the percentage of voters, because I did not realize, and I bet my audience doesn't know that many people are not voting.
Yeah, absolutely. So in this election, in this primary, there are about 25,000 registered voters, and on average, only around 1,000 people show up to vote, and that's only like 4%. So we need people to turn out. We need people to look up your candidates, demand that they have policies. I think, especially right now, everybody needs to have a Black agenda.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to be talking about a Tennessee Green New Deal, because our climate's in crisis, and the people that can't breathe because their air's not good are mostly people in marginalized communities. We need to make sure that people are talking about fully funding public education, and we need to really make sure that people are talking about prison abolition, police reform, criminal justice reform. So pretty much everybody has a website these days.
Yeah. So give them yours, man. Tell them where they can find you at and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. It's matthewpark.com, MATTHEWPARK.com. and we have all our issues on there. You can click around. We have all about me, but I think focus on the issues kind of thing, right? I'm still not very comfortable with like talking about myself, but
hey, you got to get to it, man. You about to be the man soon, man.
But yeah, so we have all the issues on there. People can reach out to us. We have a button on there where if people want to talk to me for 15 or 30 minutes, I can push a button and put a meeting on my calendar.
Nice.
Because I think that constituents should be able to schedule their politician to meet with them instead of their politician scheduling them to meet with the politician.
Yeah, that's nice.
So, so that's super important. But yeah, MatthewPark.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Matthew Park for State House and all those things.
That's what's up, man. Well, you definitely got my vote, man. I appreciate you taking the time to get on the podcast. Hope everybody realizes how important voting is, because with everything going on, everybody complaining about who's in office and nobody cares about their views or whatever the case may be, whether you have or have not, you still gotta vote, because if you don't vote, you're gonna get somebody in there that has an agenda, or and you may not even know what that agenda is. Mm-hmm. This time, I feel like we knew our president is exactly who we thought he was, and no one can be upset about it, because either you didn't go out and vote, or you voted for him. So it's tough, man, and I know, but with less than 4% of registered voters voting, I mean, we got to do better.
And we have to do some research, right? We have to not only read policies, but look up and see who's giving people money. That is it. So, for instance, like in our race, I said I'm not taking any corporate money, because I don't want to be bought and paid for like most other politicians out there. I want our campaign to be funded by the people. We're running against a person that has taken money from private prisons. Wow. That's taken money from payday loan companies. Oh, wow. That's taken money from anti-union companies. So when you take money from that kind of thing, you're beholden to those people, and you vote and you introduce bills he introduced a bill not too long ago to allow the police to use drones without a warrant. And I don't want that.
Nah, I don't want that either.
But you get that when you're taking money from places and corporations that are harming our community. So definitely look up. If you want to know how to look up people's financial disclosure reports, send us a message. We'll talk to you about it. But those things are kind of hidden because they want them to be, right?
Right.
So they're not the easiest to access, but they're public record, and you can.
Yeah. Well, yeah, man. There you have it. Definitely got to get you back on after you win, man, so we can kind of reintroduce you, because hopefully we'll be bigger and you'll be bigger by then, and we can introduce ourselves to a wider audience, man. And
we'll have you over in Nashville. We'll do it from the State House, man.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, State House, man. It's coming soon. But yeah, we definitely want to wish you luck, man. And I love what you're doing, man. Keep doing it, man. It's good to see people that care. And I want to say this to end on, man, because a lot of people think it's a black and white thing, man. And I get caught up in that because, like I said, I'm in an interracial family. I don't want ever to be color, and I get it, there's two different colors, that's red, that's white, whatever, but people are people, you know what I'm saying? So as long as we can all be together as human beings, man, and live, you help me, I help you, vice versa. Or if you don't like me, I don't like you, we stay away from each other. As long as we can just be respectable to one another, you got my vote, man. If that's what you're pushing, man, I'm all in it. So, but yeah, if you got anything you want to close with, man, we'll let them go.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Remember, August 6th is Election Day. Early voting starts July 17th. Send me a message, give me a call, send me a text message. All that stuff's on our website at MatthewPark.com. Remember, we're out here fighting for prison abolition, police reform, a Tennessee Green New Deal, fully funding public education, and we're fighting pretty hard, man.
That's what's up, man.
Talk to y'all soon.
As always, man, this is the hashtag iAMWHOiAM podcast. This is episode 44. Like, comment, subscribe, and as always, I'll be back.